Hello there, and welcome to the Mindfulness Zone, where I have for you a rather playful practice, one that was inspired by Eckhart Tolle through one of his talks, narrated in an almost story-like manner, describing a very wealthy man who loses all his possessions, winding up with very large debts, which drive him into bankruptcy. And it describes a moment in this, let's call him a billionaire, this billionaire's life. This former billionaire's life, as he must now transport himself to his lawyer's office so that he may initiate his bankruptcy proceedings. He has lost most of his material possessions, from his large homes and penthouses all over the world to his big boats, private jets, luxurious, fast cars. He must now take the bus to his lawyer's office. Let's just call it a meditation for billionaires who are now paupers. Despite its title, this meditation is really for all of us who have financial concerns, who face uncertainties during these uncertain times. And sometimes, despite what may appear to be seemingly impossible obstacles, find that space beyond the mind, above our thoughts, where all of our worries, concerns, and anxieties exist. Enter into this space of stillness beyond the mind, where there is clarity, where the solutions are, where there is relief, and the solutions to not only our financial difficulties, but those relating to almost every other aspect of our life, from our relationships to our health. It feels far from playful. It feels too real. But I hope you will join me in this practice, on this journey, and discover what it brings. Let us simply begin by taking in all that we are experiencing at this moment. And it includes all of the emotions, anxiety, the worry, the fear, the stress. Just noticing it, that it's there. And how these emotions translate within the body, the sensations that you can experience. You may notice tightness within certain muscles, possibly, as an example, the shoulder. Your jawbones might be clenched, your forehead might be a little bit tight. Notice how your eyelids feel. Notice the pace of your breathing, any aches or pains around your body. And now expand this to all of the sounds around you. We are essentially taking in all that we are experiencing at all of the different levels, physically, mentally, and emotionally. If you can imagine an hourglass, have you ever seen those hourglass? Those old time-keeping devices where they're wide on the top, narrow in the middle, and then wider again underneath. Right now, we're at the top bit, where it's wide, expansive, taking in all of these different readings, physical, mental, emotional. And now direct your attention to your breath. And this simply refers to the movement of air as it makes its way through your nasal passage. As you breathe in and then out, focusing on the sensations, bringing you to the narrow center of the hourglass, where only a single grain of sand can squeeze through. Likening this passage, this narrow passage, to that passage within your nose, the nasal passage. The temperature as it flows in, the warmer temperature as it flows out, the crisp, slightly cooler air as it flows in, the warmer, more humid air that flows out. And now expanding back again to the lower part of the hourglass, which is again wide, expansive, all-inclusive, including once again everything that you can hear, smell, taste, and feel through your physical senses, through your skin, and then within your mind, and again your emotions. Notice the subtle differences that have started to unfold. How it has become a little quieter, a little more still. As we ground ourselves here and divert the focus of our attention towards our ears, practicing a meditation called the listening practice, the listening meditation, bringing into your mind's eye, imagining a play, a theatrical production, a very dramatic one, with realistic backdrops and props and music, with the most incredible and talented actors on stage. And if you're not one who goes to the theater, then the cinema, a movie with your favorite actors playing very convincing roles. And on the stage, on the screen, a central character, a character whom you are somehow able to relate to, connect with in a very strong way. A character who is going through various experiences and situations almost identical to that which you are moving through, acting within a story that is so compelling that you find yourself drawn into the story, moving through the emotional roller coaster of its central character. sometimes even the supporting characters, partners, children, acquaintances, business partners, all playing their respective roles. As caught up as you are in the play or the movie, when I ring the bell, we're going to remind ourselves that we are individual members within the audience. We are the observers, the witnesses, somehow stepping away from the story that we see before us. And back onto these seats, the very seat that you find yourself on at this moment, breathing, sitting, or whatever posture it is that you may be holding at this moment. Feel the surfaces underneath you interacting with the chairs, the cushions, or the mattresses underneath you. And continue observing, watching, but now as a member of the audience who has a choice as to where to direct your attention to. The balconies, the person sitting to your right or to your left, even the exit. This present moment, this space that you find yourself in the practice of mindfulness and meditation, we now refer to ourselves as the witness. The witnessing presence, awareness, consciousness, most importantly, within a space of being separate from all that is unfolding on the screen, on the stage. Even counting the number of rows between you, the witness, the observer, the audience member, and the stage or the screen. Space emerging between witness and stage. Space unfolding between that who you truly are and the mind, where the stories, they continue to unfold within this far more convincing play or production called the mind. This space, this witnessing presence, this awareness, we discover to be our present moment. Have you noticed how easy it is to get caught up in the play? Especially when the script is as good as it's been, and the actors as convincing as they have been. Using the bell to bring yourself back into this present moment. To bring yourself back to your breath, which is unfolding at this moment Every time you find yourself getting caught up in that story, reminding ourselves that we at all times have access into this present moment. Our doorways into the present moment, represented by our 5 senses. And in this practice, we'll focus mostly on our sense of hearing, where there is the bell, and our skin, those surfaces around our body, and some within, which allow us to experience this, that allow us to experience the sensations both within and around our bodies. All doorways into the present moment, in this space you find yourself in, aware of the textures of the clothing, the fabric that covers your body. Let's now bring our attention back to the play or the movie, whichever it is, the character. It's reached a point in the play where the character's lost all of his cars, boats, planes, homes, but is somehow feeling a little bit lighter. No more property tax to pay. No more pilots and other staff members to direct or supervise. We find the character in a little room, no windows, yet breathing, dressing, and then preparing to take a journey to see his or her lawyers so that they can finalize the bankruptcy proceedings. There are moments of anxiety, of shame, of fear, but we begin to notice that those moments arise only when the character remembers his or her past. Comparing that present moment to the past and all of the meanings attributed to those experiences, wanting to bring back those parts from the past that were deemed and labeled as good and desirable, pushing against the present moment, which up until that point was labeled as failure, despondency, loss, and incredible turbulence, with expressions of sadness, anger, and a wide array of emotions. With the ringing of the bell, we find the character releasing his or her past. Becoming so much more grounded in the present moment, the only moment. With this bell, a releasing of the future, where all of the fears and anxieties as to where food, sustenance, and everything else simply vanishes. That he or she is present here in the now. As he or she glances towards the window at a potted plant with a single flower. Unperturbed, recognizing how unconcerned the flower is for its sustenance, how present. As drawn in as you are to this play, this movie, there is one thing that you know for certain, that this story has a happy ending, that everything works out. With that knowing, as the witness, as the observer, you watch many of your concerns and anxieties dissolve, fading away into the background, as you still continue with the entertainment, with the drama, with the script, with the acting, yet aware of the larger picture, of the unfolding, of everything working out as it always has. Recognizing, even within our own lives, how there has been turbulence. For some of us, more turbulence than we would have liked, but yet here we are. Every experience a stepping stone, having brought us here into this present moment. Whatever posture it is that you have adopted, listening, being within this practice. Much tension, much worry, much anxiety released with this awareness, with this presence, with this knowing, with this wisdom. Notice the character in the play experiencing for the first time the ability to know for the first time which relationships were true and which false. The true friendships persisting, continuing, with the shallow ones dissolving. Understanding how some relationships had simply been based on those others, deriving some sense of identity from the status, from the wealth, from the parties and the fast cars, conditional upon all of these externals, and therefore released so much lighter. And we begin to discover, as we release the past, as we release the future, how we too had derived our sense of identity through many of these toys, these homes, these cars, these boats, these planes, the platinum credit cards, the seats at the restaurants, completely identified with these conditions. Conditions that were once a prerequisite to be happy, to be at peace, yet now developing the ability to retire within, into that very source from which stillness, peace, joy, contentment, and happiness arose from. That very source, free of the conditions that were now seen simply as distractions, fleeting and temporary distractions. The character embarking on the journey from moment to moment, step by step, breath to breath, towards the bus stop, where he or she would be taking the bus that would take her to the lawyer's office where the bankruptcy proceedings would unfold. Occasionally getting caught up in the story, experiencing the distressing emotions that arose. But now, with the ability to return back into the present moment, feeling the pavement underneath the foot, through the soles of the shoes, noticing every flower, every blade of grass, every leaf, every branch, present in the moment, beyond and above the stories, still, quiet, arriving at the bus stop, taking in all that can be taken in through the eyes of those others walking by, some waiting for their buses, cars and other vehicles passing by, different colors, different models, different speeds, different sounds, the engine sounds, the sounds of the breeze moving through the leaves on the trees, voices, bird song, a symphony of sounds surrounding the character, present, taking a seat or standing, aware of his or her posture, as a person who is sitting, standing, and breathing, aware of himself or herself, either sitting or standing, as he or she waits for the bus, yet not waiting in the traditional sense, but being present, recognizing the bus, hailing it, getting on, noticing the changes within the body, the muscular movements involved in climbing onto the bus, taking every step, breathing deeply, balancing as he or she moved towards the seat, as the bus begins to move, taking in the momentum and the movement of the bus, making his or her way towards the seat, noticing the colors, what the other passengers are wearing, hearing the sounds, feeling the seat as they rest their body, taking in all the sights, sounds, and sensations, possibly even this scent of perfume, even food being consumed at one corner of the other on the bus, present, still, alive, observing, alert, vigilant, for they know what their final destination is, when to push the stop button, when to get off the bus, how to walk, once again balancing as the bus readies itself to come to a stop, every breath, every step, every movement, in presence and in awareness, stepping beyond time, into a space that is in fact timeless. A space of awareness. In the lawyer's office, signing a piece of paper, signing a few pieces of paper, exchanging pleasantries, noticing furniture, noticing space, noticing rooms, noticing people, communicating, in presence, beyond form, beyond status, beyond the roles they once played. Resting in the stillness, resting in the wisdom, and finding the clarity through which the solutions, the paths, begin to unfold. Every challenge viewed as an opportunity. The concept of ownership no longer so relevant, as every public space becomes one's own. Every public garden, every florist, every flower within a florist, there to be enjoyed, to be perceived, to be taken in through all of the senses, free of labeling, free of concepts that can only exist within the mind. At peace. In stillness.